So these are the nothing but different types of ways by which we could classify the market. In last session, we also, or in the last semester, I just said that you already know about what is the market structure, what is the meaning, what are the different bases, maybe the perfect market, maybe the imperfect market, what are the characteristics for each and every base. What do you mean by the term perfect market? What do you mean by the term imperfect market? Then what are the different subheadings under the imperfect market? Maybe the monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly, or even oligopolistic market. And in terms of perfect market, what is the base for the perfect market? So we aware about all these things, but just take a look about all these, because what happened 2 years back, this is not included in the syllabus point of view, but still the question could be there for 8 marks or generally for the 4 marks in current pandemic. So from this concern, we must aware about the market structure. Okay, so here I am trying to just share you the PPT. Fine. So here we talk about the market structure. When we heard the term market structure, so the term market structure refers to the actually the size and design of the market. Market size, the market exactly what is the design and manner of operations actually present into the market. So at we could say in a nutshell, the overall market structure is nothing but the size, design, and operations in the market. So what is the market capturing? What is the level of market structure, market design? All the concepts are there. By means you could say the overall structure of the market. So that is nothing but the market structure. It typically includes size, design, and operations in the market. And for that, some of the basic points are required. The first point is nothing but it refers to those organizational characteristics which influences the nature of competition and pricing. Yes, that is most important. As per the nature or as per the competition, prices could affect or prices could change. It means there is a impact or there is a direct or indirect relationship between the both phases. One on one hand there is a competition, while on other hand there is a pricing. So keep in mind, if suppose we are talking about the monopoly, so definitely the monopoly are nothing but the price taker. Okay, so they are the price decision maker one, they are the decision maker. But while in terms of when we are talking about the perfect competition, or the simple example of your nearby tea staller, so at that time they are not the price decision maker, they have to make decision according to the nearby price staller, so they are the decision follower. Okay, so this is the example. By means we could say simple example of the how competition and pricing are related to each other. In simple sense, when there is a pure competition, when there is a pure competition, at that time generally the prices are same. But when the competition is not there between the firms, during that time the pricing is not a sensitive part. You could make a pricing as per your own views, like this way. Again, it refers to market which affect the traders behavior and their performance. Definitely this is most important, because market is a place where both are possible or where both viewers are there. Which are these? On one side there is a trader, or on another side there is a customer. So it is depend upon the traders behavior and their performance, at what extent they need the product, at what we could say frequency they need the product, and at what price they need the product. So these three, maybe the instance, maybe the price, maybe the frequency, all these are impacted on the market structure. And finally, it is the formal organization of functional activity of a marketing institutes. Definitely, when we call about the formal organization, in terms of formal organizations, all things are in a defined manner. As we already know about the formal organization, in formal organizations all jobs are defined one. The specific role assigned to every individual is also defined one, documented one. So from this concern, it is when it is a defined one, so you have to just follow the defined setted rules, defined setted policy. So you have to follow policy, procedure, rules according to same instance. And generally we could say types of market: perfect market, imperfect market, or even perfect market is also called as the pure competition or pure type of market. Okay, so that now we talk about the perfect competition. Keep in mind, Perfect market, perfect competition, pure competition, all the three terms are actually synonymous to each other. Fine. So from this concern, when we talk about the perfect competition, it is defined as the market situation where the demand and supply condition determine the market price of the product under certain assumptions. What we call, it is nothing but the situation where demand and supply conditions determine the market price. It means you could not single-handedly determine the market price. यामध्ये काय, डिमांड अँड सप्लाय दोन्ही गोष्टी आहेत ज्या मार्केटच्या प्राइस डिपेंड करतं, क्या मार्केटच्या प्राइस सांगतं. And typically the perfect competition is nothing but a type of competition where different types of buyers, different types of sellers came together with certain set of objectives, certain set of assumptions. Now which are these? The first one is the large number of buyers and sellers. Okay, keep in mind, when we talk about the large number of buyers and sellers, it means what? इसका मतलब क्या होता है? Simple, it means the not, we could say entry is not restricted to the few number of people. N number of buyers are there at one side, n number of sellers are there. No limitations on the number of buyers and sellers. Second one, homogeneous product. इसका मतलब there is a single product offered by nearly all types of sellers, and single product we could say buy by the different types of buyers. Okay, it means homogeneous means single product, though there are variation at a little extent, but the product is single product. It means the different types of features provided by the product are also similar one. These are also similar one. Third and the most important point of differentiation, this is nothing but the free entry and exit. अब देखिए इसमें free entry means what? As we know there are number of buyers and number of sellers, large number of buyers and seller है उसमें, तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? It is a free entry and exit. That is the most characteristics of the perfect competition. When there is a free entry, at that time anyone could make their entrance, and most importantly, rather than entry, free exit is the most typical characteristics. Why it is so? Because at certain extent or at certain market structure, the entry cost is much more higher that you could not exit on your own will. आप खुद से आपके will के हिसाब से आप exit नहीं कर सकते, because you actually invested a lot of money. But for the perfect competition, the large money is not required. You invest a small amount of money and you could exit at any point of time. That is the most important characteristics of the perfect market. So it is, we could say, यहाँ पे आपकी कुछ burden नहीं रहेगा. You could exit at any mode, at any point. Fourth point, perfect knowledge. Definitely when we got perfect knowledge about the demand and supply factors. यहाँ पे दोनों चीज रहेगी, आपको exactly डिमांड एंड सप्लाई में क्या करना है वो भी बात रहेगी, और उसके अलावा परफेक्ट नॉलेज अबाउट द प्राइस, perfect knowledge about the quality given by you or quality given by the nearby people for the particular product, perfect knowledge about the daily visitors, how many number of visitors are there. So this is nothing but the fourth important characteristics. Fifth is the LOOP. It means law of one price. As we say, the product is homogeneous one. Before that, we could say the homogeneous product at same price. That is again the individual characteristics for the perfect competition. Law of one price. Keep in mind the full form of the LOOP, law of one price. That is important one. Then absence of transport cost. Here we could not take into consideration the different types of transport cost, so we make nil for the transport cost purpose. And seventh one, mobility of factor of production. As we know, factor of production, land, labor, capital, organization. So from this concern, when we talk about the factor of production, one place to another place, so that is the characteristics of the nothing but the perfect competition. In all this, the most important, कौन सा सबसे ज्यादा important है, that is nothing but the free entry and free exit to the individual, to the, we could say, to the stallers. The simple example we could put for the perfect competition is the nothing but the tea seller, even the vada pav stallers, even the different types of hawkers. These are the simple or the perfect example for the perfect type of competition. Perfect competition, perfect market, pure competition. Why it is so? Because generally they know what type of number of buyers came towards them in a daily basis. अगेन उसको ये भी पता है कि मेरे साथ ही इस चौराहे पे 4 से 5 और लोग भी है जो यही प्रोडक्ट बेचते हैं, कितने में राइट, उनको ये भी पता है द सिंपल प्राइस रुपीज 10 to 15 फॉर एवरी इंडिविजुअल हॉकर्स, उनको ये भी बात पता है. देन फ्री एंट्री, उनको ये पाबंदी नहीं है कि रोज 9 बजे आना है, 10 बजे आना है, दे कुड एंटर एट देयर ओन विल. एग्जिट अगर उनका जब उनका प्रोडक्ट खत्म हो जाएगा तब वो निकल जाएगा. सो एग्जिट एज पर देयर ओन विल. परफेक्ट नॉलेज भी है, लॉ ऑफ वन प्राइस डेफिनेटली इट इज देयर. अब्सेंस ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट कॉस्ट वो उन पे नहीं डिपेंड करता कि वो कहां से आ रहे हैं. मोबिलिटी ऑफ फैक्टर ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, आज इस चौराहे पे कल जाके अगर इस इफ सपोज द चांसेस आर देयर that the certain transportation or certain types of arrangements are there, certain types of construction works are going on, so they could mobile from one chowk to another chowk, they could transport. Okay, so this is again one of the feature. So these are the 7 important perfect competition features. Keep in mind the chances are that the question on perfect competition is probably in the examinations many times. During that conditions आपको ये assumptions सब आनी चाहिए. ये assumptions से आपके आंसर पूरा क्लियर करेगा. So that assumptions are the most important from the perfect competition point of view. Okay. Now we talk about the imperfect competition. As the word itself indicates, it is imperfect in nature. It means the things are not as declared or as not assumed for the perfect one. Here, the free entry, free exit is not there. Apart from that, the buyers are again limited in number. Buyers are not unlimited. Buyers are limited in number. No mobility is given. Again, law of one price could not be followed for the imperfect competition. So these are the different instances. So keep in mind, the first example of the perfect, we could say imperfect competition is the monopoly. A monopoly is a unique market situation where a particular individual or even enterprise is the only supplier of that commodity. That is the monopoly. Okay, here we talk about the only supplier of that commodity. Tell उसे हम क्या कहेंगे, दैट इज नथिंग बट द मोनोपोली. सिंपल एग्जांपल, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ द रीजन ऑफ औरंगाबाद और महाराष्ट्र, महाडिस्कॉम is the only supplier of the electricity throughout the region or throughout the district. So this is nothing but the monopoly. Simple way, the monopoly generally at many instances it is in the hand of different types of government sector, probably again in the private sector. Previously, before that aeroplane could not make their way, the monopoly is in the hand of some of the unique creature. So these are the examples. Okay, so some of the characteristics of monopoly, देखिए फिर सबसे पहले क्या है, single seller. As we know as we heard the word monopoly, poly means the nothing but the individuals who are present, how many single individual. So single seller is there. So monopolist produces the entire output single handedly, and rather than that, इसके आगे क्या है, to cater to the demand. What is the demand are there, he is the only supplier. He is the only supplier. When we called he is the only supplier, then keep in mind the third characteristic, he is the price maker, not the price taker. Okay, so in terms of perfect competition, we could say in terms of perfect competition the characteristic is the price taker, he is the price taker. But in terms of monopoly, the individual or the enterprise is the price maker due to no threat of competition, while he is the only seller. So there is a no threat of competition from the nearby competitors. Hence bargaining power of supplier is at more instance. Here bargaining power of supplier is more instance. यहाँ पे bargaining power of buyer नहीं है. bargaining power of buyer कहाँ पे आएगा, it is for the perfect level of competition. But in terms of the imperfect competition यहाँ पे bargaining power नहीं आएगी. Fine. Then second one, no substitute. We could say rather than the word, there is no close substitute for the product, which is unique in the market. Like just we discuss about the electricity. Yes, we know there are different types of other ways by which private firms are there, but still they are not at that extent. We are talking about the no close substitute. हर एक household के लिए private आज के condition में नहीं पहुंच पाएगा. So that is the reason. So we could say though there are at certain points solar could be one of the substitute, but again it is not a close substitute. So electricity is nothing but one of the monopoly. from the particular enterprise point of view. High barriers of entry, that is again one of the way. High barriers of entry means what? They require lot of money. High barrier of entry means what? They require actually lot of money to invest. Okay, so this is one of the way. या इसके लिए बहुत बड़े पैमाने में हमें अमाउंट लगेगा. These are the some of the barriers, like economic barriers. It requires crores of money to actually invest. Again, it requires lot of manpower. Every manpower हमें उनको हर एक के लिए हमें वहां पे पैसे देने पड़ेंगे. So it requires lot of manpower under the firm's name, under the firm's payroll. So that is nothing but the economic barrier. Then legal barrier, definitely if it requires lot of legal things, legal formalities to take the land, to purchase, and we could say to purchase the land. Again, if suppose it is not available for the purchase, then take the land on the lease basis. Again, these are the some of the legal barriers. And deliberate barriers, these are nothing but if you are the new entrant, अगर आप नए entrant हो, during that time the established entrant or established जो player है उनके तरफ से अगर आपको maybe the political way, maybe the other way, maybe the we could say सोशल वे, लीगल वे, टेक्नोलॉजिकल वे. सो आपको अगर कुछ जानबूझ के कोई बैरियर अगर आपको आपके सामने लाते हैं, सो दिस इज द वे ऑफ डेलिब्रेट बैरियर. ओके, सो दीज आर द थ्री बैरियर्स, मे बी द इकोनॉमिक, लीगल, डेलिब्रेट. इवन डेलिब्रेट में पॉलिटिकल बैरियर इज वन ऑफ द एग्जाम्पल फॉर द डेलिब्रेट बैरियर, सो दैट इट प्रिवेंट द एंट्री ऑफ द न्यू एंट्रेंट. देखिए अब इसका मतलब क्या है, when you are the monopolist, so during that conditions, or we could say when actually the monopolist is present in the market, so he is one who don't have the any type of close substitute. और अगर आप उनके तरफ अगर आप कॉम्पीट करते हो तो वो आपको बैरियर खड़े करेंगे, लाइक डेलिब्रेट, इकोनॉमिक, लीगल वन, सो दैट ही कुड ओनली वन. वहां पे उनको कंपटीशन नहीं चाहिए, लाइक दिस वे. फाइन. अभी हमने बात की थी मोनोपोली के बारे में. नाउ सेकंड वन इज द मोनोपोलिस्टिक कंपटीशन. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड व्हेन वी हर्ड द टर्म मोनोपोलिस्टिक? So it is a type of imperfect competition where many firms exist and entry is not restricted for them and provides differentiated products. So that is nothing but the way of monopolistic competition. Okay, and some of the characteristics, the most important one is the number of sellers are between 8 to 10 number of individuals, 8 to 10 number of firms. So this is one of the important characteristics. It produces the heterogeneous product. Heterogeneous means not of the single nature, that is the heterogeneous. But still keep in mind, again this is the example, or this is the one of the comparison point of view from the perfect market competition. Perfect में क्या था, पूरी चीजें from the homogeneous product था, but in terms of the monopolistic, the product is not homogeneous one, product is the heterogeneous one. That is for the monopolistic one. Large number of sellers, yes, definitely. Perfect factor mobility, that is again possible. The demand for product is not perfectly elastic, it is responsive to change in price. As price changes, the demand could also affect, or demand could also change. So we could say it is nothing but responsiveness of change against the price. And there are few barriers of entry and exit to again for the monopolistic competition. Monopolistic के लिए भी आपको बहुत से प्रमाण में competition में या problems आ सकते हैं. In terms of monopolistic, we could take the simple example, which is nothing but different types of agriculture input industries. Maybe in fertilizers industry and pesticides industry. So this is one of the simple example for the monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition, just I said the example of the different types of agri input industry, fertilizer industry, your even pesticide industry, seeds. These are the examples of monopolistic competition. Now we talk about the what is the different types of product differentiation is possible in terms of the monopolistic competition. The first one is the physical product differentiation. Here the examples are the consumer electronics, consumer oriented one. The examples are consumer oriented one or the electronics one, where the physical product differentiation is the base. Then the second and the most important one is the marketing differentiation. And the perfect example is of the breakfast cereal is the example for the marketing differentiation. Followed by the human capital differentiation. So here the example is nothing but retail shopping industry. How the way displays are created, how the way human capital is there. With the help of human resources, the differentiation point could be carried. And finally, and the most important in the current era, is nothing but the differentiation through distribution. Currently, we could say there are different distribution outlets specifically for every product, but still the social media is a major concern, in which Amazon's is one of the way you could actually go and purchase the product by your own experiences. Now talk about the third one in the imperfect market, that is the oligopoly. What happened when we heard the oligopoly? It is nothing but a type of market structure with only a few sellers, where 3 to 4 sellers are there, where they are selling either homogeneous or differentiated goods. So it is type of structure. How many sellers are there? 3 to 4 sellers are there, and all of them selling either a homogeneous or differentiated. मतलब दोनों तरीके के आप प्रोडक्ट वहां पे सेल कर सकते हैं. Either homogeneous है, एक ही प्रोडक्ट है, और differentiated मतलब there are number of category, number of variety for number of products. So this is there for the different types of oligopoly product. When we talk about the oligopoly, the different example for the oligopoly product is nothing but the noodles, or we could say breakfast cereals. Again, the example is for the oligopoly. Characteristics, as we already say, there are 3 to 4 sellers. Interdependence on each other. As per the price and demand factors, many firms or major firms are interdependent on each other. Competition, definitely there is a competition in the market, as the firms are 3 to 4. Keep in mind, after the oligopoly phase, the companies move towards the duopoly, where two phases are there, or two companies are the major. After the duopoly, then they enjoys the form of the monopoly. ठीक है, तो इसका मतलब क्या? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मोनोपोलिस्टिक सबसे नीचे आएगा, where 8 to 12 members are there, followed by the oligopoly, where 3 to 4 members are there. Then duopoly, only two enterprises have the entertainment, or they have the chances to get the major access in the market. And finally the single one is the monopoly, where it is the only seller. Okay, homogeneous product, definitely product could be homogeneous or differentiated one. Indeterminate price and output, it is, we could say, the relationship between the price and output. And uneven size of firm, yes, definitely, some firms are in the bigger size, or some firms are in the medium or small size, but still they are actually provide the homogeneous or differentiated product. There are different barriers for oligopoly product. First, economies of scale. Yes, that is one of the important barrier for the we could say for the oligopoly. Economies of scale, nothing but, we already described about the economies of scale. As you produce more and more, the per unit cost of the commodity got decreased, so it is possible by means of the economy, but still it is one of the important barrier. Free but unlimited entry. Definitely, though the 3 to 4 firms could be succeed, but the still problem is there. The entry is the limited one. Entry is the limited one, so no one could get as their as his or her own will and directly compete to the major oligopolistic company. He has to wait for its time. He has to wait for its market share. He has to wait for his offerings of the product, for the differentiated product. So that is the problem. Huge investment to match existing firm. That is the thing. Government policies, certain times government policies could favor only to the big giants. So that is again one of the barrier of oligopoly. Strong consumer loyalty. Yes, we could say like different consumer point of view, or different firms which are actually on the eyesight of the consumer, like HUL, simple example. Control of inputs. If you are producing the output but you don't have availability of input during that time, the chances are that your competitor make a control of total inputs. During that time, it is a barrier for you to enter into the market. And one of the IPR, that intellectual property rights point of view, the product differentiation and patent. If any firm have the patent, then you could not copy the technology or the IPR point of view. Any type of trademark exclusive right, you could not copy the same. Fine. Then certain other market conditions in which duopoly, it is the market condition in which there are only two sellers. As we heard, word duopoly means two seller. It is very close to oligopoly. Definitely it is close to oligopoly, where 3 to 4 sellers are there in all respect except the number of firms. It means all the characteristics are there except number of firms. In terms of oligopoly, 3 to 4 firms are there. In terms of duopoly, 2 firms are there. Monopsony. It is actually opposite to monopoly. In terms of monopoly, there is a single seller. But here, in terms of monopsony, there is a single buyer. So it means presence of single buyer in the market for the products produced by the firm. So here there is only single buyer. Example, farmers who are registered as a sugarcane growers. यहाँ हम कह सकते हैं जो शुगर केन हमारे जहाँ नजदीक पर जो शुगर केन के कुछ कारखाने रहते हैं वहां पे क्या होता है when it is registered one so they have to sell all their sugar cane to the this only precise karkhana. Apart from that, other examples are also there for the monopsony. Simple example is nothing but the Indian Railway who purchases tracks, railway tracks. There are different firms who produces the railway tracks, but the only buyer, keep in mind, the only buyer of the railway tracks is nothing but the Indian Railway. Okay, so this is one of the example from this concept. Oligopoly again, it is one of the opposite to the oligopoly. In oligopoly, 3 to 4 share are there. Here, 3 to 4 buyers are there. So it is a market condition where there are only few buyers, maybe 3 to 4 of the product, who buy in a sizable quantity of a product. मतलब ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्वांटिटी में परचेस करने वाले 3 से 4 ही बायर हैं. एग्जांपल हिंदुस्तान पेट्रोलियम बाइज गैस फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट. गवर्नमेंट गैस बनाती है. देयर आर डिफरेंट फर्म्स बट मे बी small firms or maybe 3 to 4 buyers are there like Hindustan Petroleums, Bharat Petroleum. So these are some of the examples. Now we talk about okay, keep in mind this is most important comparison. This is the comparison chart that is most important from the objective point of view which are there in the examinations.